I'd like to tie for you Mayfly Nymph. The hook I have on the vise is size 14 nymph hook, and the thread I'm going to use is black 6/0 unit thread. As you can see, I already have some lead wire that I put on the shank of the hook, and the reason why I do that is I like to avoid using the beads, but it's your preference. So if you like, instead of lead wire, you can use a little tungsten bead. So I started my thread and I'm going to wrap this lead wire and lock it in place. I'm going to stop here and trim off this excess. Now for the tail, I'm going to use pheasant feather, and I like to use 6 fibers of the feather, and I want this tail to be approximately the length of the hook shank. And one wrap under. I'm going to advance my thread in front. Now for the ribbing, I'm going to use copper wire, and that will also protect the sensitive pheasant fibers from breaking, because they break easy under fish teeth. There we go. And for the body, I'm going to use this cream color dubbing, and what I want to do now is make a really thin noodle, not too much, because there is this lead wire on the shank already, so if I would make too bulky noodle, it would close the gap of the hook. I like to use this fly in a slow moving water, but you can use this fly anywhere where mayflies are hatching. Just yesterday I caught nice 3-pound sea trout on this fly. So I'm making one wrap between the tail and the rest of the fibers to cover those thread wraps, and then advancing my thread again in front and forming the body. And that's good for now. I'm going to stop here and pull the rest of the fibers towards the eye and tie them down. Just a couple wraps and one in front. Take the copper wire, and I usually like to make 4 wraps. 2, 3, and 4. And I'll cross the thread and tie that down with a couple wraps, and I can helicopter this wire and it will break off nicely. There we go. Now on this side of this dubbing, I have a little bit longer hairs, and I like to use those for making a thorax. There we go. once again, cover the thread wraps. And I take a little piece of Velcro and I tease those fibers down, so I mean the hairs down, and be careful not to touch pheasant tail fibers with Velcro because they will break. So on this fly I'm not using any hackle for the legs or anything like that. All I do is I just tease some of the hairs, and in the water that looks nice and represent like little legs. There we go. Clean that up. Good. And pull the rest of pheasant fibers again towards the eye. Oops. There we go. It's hard to maneuver around when the camera is so close. Lift them up, wrap in front, and now I can trim off the excess and form a little head. There we go. And I'll put a little bit of head cement right on the thread. And we'll finish. 4 wraps is enough. Trim off the thread. And now, if there's any too long hairs that are sticking, you can just trim them off. And here we have a Mayfly Nymph. I hope you liked my video. I thank you for watching. Feel welcome to subscribe, and tight lines.